Recently, Google announced their new AI image generator called Imagen 2, which you can start using right away. They claim that this is super realistic, high quality, plus it can accurately generate hands and fingers. So I decided to put this to the test. Are they just cherry picking the best images to showcase here? Or is Imagen 2 really that good? In this video, I compare Imagen with two of the other best free image generators out there, DALLE3 and Stable Diffusion. I test out different challenging prompts to see how each three of these perform. So you can decide for yourself, is Imagen 2 really that good? Let's jump right in. A few days ago, Google released this article, New and Better Ways to Create Images with Imagen 2. So you can now try out Imagen 2, which is their AI image generator, in Bard and ImageFX, which I'll show you in a second. Now, Google claims that this is really good. It's their most advanced text-to-image technology, delivering high-quality photorealistic outputs. And the images that they showcase are indeed really good. So you can see here, especially like for animals, I know Stable Diffusion has traditionally struggled to produce images of some animals, but this does really well. This looks really realistic. Small canvas oil painting of an orange. Light passing through orange segments. And even though this is an oil painting, you can kind of see the light passing through here as well. So super realistic. Here's another oil painting that is also very good. And look at the details of this bird. This looks very realistic. And the feathers are super sharp in detail. Even the moss, just very sharp, very realistic. So this looks promising, at least from what they showcase. And now here's a really bold claim. So it says that it has delivered improvements in rendering hands and human faces. Alright, so we all know all the best image generators out there, including Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, they suck at generating hands. But Google claims that Imagen 2 has some major improvements in generating realistic hands. And you can see from the images that they showcase, this hand looks very realistic. There's no extra fingers, there's no deformed fingers. This looks really good. Same with this one. Same with this composer. The hands look perfect. And then, the faces, the eyes, super realistic. Again, you can see here this woman brushing her teeth. Her face is very realistic. This hand is very realistic. And, her holding the toothbrush, this traditionally is very hard to do in Stable Diffusion and DALL-E and Midjourney. So this, again, looks very good. And then same with this toothpaste with the word symbol here. Again, it's quite hard for Stable Diffusion and DALL-E to actually have legit words in the image. Usually the words or letters are just made up. They're not like real letters of the alphabet. But is Google just cherry picking the best results and showing them to us? Or is Imagen 2 really that good? We're going to find out in this video. So I'm going to compare Imagen 2 head to head with two of the best free image generators out there, DALLE3 and Stable Diffusion. You can see for yourself if the realism and the quality that Google claims Imagen 2 provides is indeed true. So to use Imagen 2, I'm going to use ImageFX, which I'll link to in the description below. For DALLE3, I'm going to use Microsoft Bing Image Creator. So DALLE3 is like OpenAI and Microsoft's image generator, so it's a direct competitor of Google's ImageGen. And finally, for Stable Diffusion, I could use Stable Diffusion Web UI, also known as Automatic 1111, which I can run locally on my computer, but I'm using a laptop right now without a GPU, so I'm just going to use this online platform called CArt, which basically lets you use Stable Diffusion online. And with that, let's put Imagen 2 to the test. Alright, let's start off with an easy one. Portrait of a man in a suit. All three image generators should be able to get this. Now for Imagen or ImageFX, you can also choose the style. So photorealistic, film, minimal, sketchy, handmade. There's also more that you can choose from, or you can just type it out here. So I'm going to put realistic. Now with Imagen 2, there are no negative prompts like you see in Stable Diffusion. You also don't need to put keywords like highly detailed, 8K, absurd res, etc. This is very similar to Bing Image Creator and DALLE3, where there are also no negative prompts. So you just put in what exactly you want and then the style, and that's it. So let's click generate, and here's what we get for Imagen. You can see some of these are not realistic. This one is a painting. This one seems okay. This is realistic. The glasses are kind of weird here. This handkerchief also doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. The button doesn't look right. This looks like a painting more than a real image. Let's see if I can select something else. No, I think that's it. So let's try photography. Maybe that would be better. All right, again, some of these look quite cartoonish. They're not really realistic. This one is the most realistic looking one, but his head seems very stretched. This one looks more like a painting. Again, the handkerchief doesn't look real. Same with over here. But alright, it is what it is. That's Imagen 2. Let's do the same thing but in Bing Image Creator. So I'm going to copy the prompt and then paste it here. This looks much better. This looks realistic. You can see kind of like a blur effect at the edges, so there's a depth of field. Compare this with Imagen, right? This looks quite cartoonish to me. Again, this is Bing Image Generator. This looks a lot better. All right, next up, let's try Stable Diffusion. So I'm going to paste in the same prompt here. Now for Stable Diffusion, you don't define the style here. You actually define a model up here. So right now I'm using Epic Realism, but there are other models you can choose from. For example, there's this Dream Shaper model, there's one for anime, there's one for Disney Pixar, there's one for watercolor, oil paintings, etc. But for now, I'm going to use Epic Realism. So portrait of a man in a suit, let's do that. And then with Stable Diffusion, there is a negative prompt that you can add, and this basically allows you to put in all the things that you don't want. So worst quality, ugly eyes, ugly face, deformed limbs, extra fingers, fewer fingers, broken fingers, just all the ugly stuff that you don't want in the image. So this is an advantage of Stable Diffusion if you want to be very particular at what you want to generate. Whereas Bing Image Generator and Google's Imagen 2, they do not have negative prompts. So it's harder to kind of fine tune what exactly you want in the image. But at the same time, the advantage of Imagen 2 and Bing Image Creator is that you only need to put in a positive prompt. So it's a lot simpler, especially if you're not experienced with prompting, then this might be a simpler option for you. But anyways, let's go back to Stable Diffusion and click Generate. Very realistic, look at that. The hands are okay, I would say. His thumb is kind of long in my opinion, but yeah, super realistic. So here's the first batch of results. You can decide which one is the best quality or the most realistic. All right, next one, this is more challenging. So we are going to do a neon sign with the word hello, because again, Google claims that it's good with having real text in the image. So let's test this out. And again, I'm going to put realistic here and then click generate. And this does a pretty good job. You can see it clearly says hello. Now let's go to Bing Image Generator, which is using DALLE3, and then paste in the same prompt, and then we'll click Create. This is also really good. You can see one of them has a slight error. There's an extra L here, but other than that, the rest clearly says hello. This is really good. Finally, let's try Stable Diffusion. So a neon sign with the word hello. Now for the negative prompt, I'm going to have to get rid of text here because we do want text in the image. We got to make sure there's nothing like text or logos or words in the negative prompt because we actually want this in our case. All right, we should be good to go. So let's click generate. And you can see here's where Stable Diffusion fails quite a bit. It's quite hard for it to actually generate letters and words. English is alright, but if you do like Asian characters or other characters, it messes up even more. So you can see like hello is here, but it adds an extra L, and then it also adds this made up word here, which obviously we don't want. Same with this one, it's spelled hello wrong, plus there's an extra line here, even though we explicitly spelled it out for it in our prompt. It still misspelled it in the image. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the three image generators. Again, you decide which one looks best to you. For me, I think it's DALLE3 in this case. Alright, on to some trickier stuff. So I'm going to put a man playing guitar. And why this is tricky, because historically none of the image generators are really good at generating guitars, first of all. The strings are usually very messed up, as you will see in a second. Also, his hands and fingers will likely be messed up, at least from what I've seen before. It's really hard for AI to generate human hands playing a guitar. So let's see if this works. Again, I will put realistic here to define this style, and then click generate. Alright, so as you can see, it starts to mess up here, which is expected. Again, we've already defined realistic, but it's not realistic at all. This does still seem a bit cartoonish, or like a painting. But anyways, let's look at the first image. You can see the guitar strings are not clear, at least they're straight until you get up here. That's where it starts to mess up. And then the hands and fingers, it looks like he's missing a finger. And then here it's just really blurry, so you can't really tell. But overall, you can see that this guitar is not highly detailed or realistic. Next one, you can see the strings are really messed up and not clear here, and then he has an extra finger. Oh my god. Remember, Imagen 2 claims that it can render realistic hands, and it showcased a lot of nice looking hands in their photos. But as we can see, this is not the case. He's got an extra finger just like traditional AI image generators. Plus you can see this hole here is not really accurate. Plus the shape of the guitar is not even symmetrical. You can see the guitar just looks really ugly in this example. Let's look at this one. He's got 2 thumbs here, plus his thumb is just bent in a really grotesque position. The strings here again are messed up. They're not straight. And then I don't know what he's doing here. Basically, it doesn't show that he's actually plucking the strings or anything. It just kind of messed up here. And the shape of the guitar, again, not really accurate. And then final image, this looks like a painting more than realistic, which is what we defined. This hand looks okay, I guess, for a painting. The strings, again, not too realistic. And you can see as you go down here, he's missing a string. There should be 6 strings on a guitar. So yeah, that's Imagen 2. I'm going to paste in the same prompt for Bing Image Generator or DALL-E 3 and see what we get. Alright, let's see each of these. This is looking a lot more realistic, first of all. Let's look at the first one. You can see the fingers are great. This looks very realistic. Same with his right hand here. The only flaw that I can point out is the strings. Again, they aren't exactly straight all the way, so it kind of messes up here, but it does have 6 strings, and the shape of the guitar is realistic. This is very good. Let's look at the next one. Again, this hand looks very good. It looks like he's actually pressing on the fret. I like the blurry depth of field that we see here. Maybe like the tip of his index finger shouldn't look like this. It's a bit off, but it's a minor flaw. The strings look a lot straighter. We only have 5 strings here, so it's missing a string. Again, it's really hard for image generators to generate guitars at the moment. And then moving on to this hand, it's actually quite good. So it does look like he's plucking the guitar strings. The only issue is he's got an extra finger over here. But other than that, the guitar looks nice. This is really good. All right, next one. Again, it's missing a string here, but the hand looks pretty good to me. There are 5 fingers here. It does look like he's plucking. And then same with here, 5 fingers, and it does look like he's pressing on the guitar. This one is really good. And then final one, again, 5 fingers here, 5 fingers here. This looks great. The only flaw that I can find is there are only 4 strings instead of 6 strings on this guitar. But yeah, I'm impressed with DALL-E 3. Finally, I'm going to paste in the same prompt for Stable Diffusion, and I have a feeling it's going to be really ugly. Stable Diffusion just tends to not do well at generating fingers and guitars. Alright, let's see what we get. Okay, so you can see, again, guitar strings, it's kind of weird here. It's bent, it's not straight all the way. It does look like he's plucking, but his index finger kind of split into 2 here. And then here it looks like someone chopped off his index finger. So not the best fingers, but if you zoom out, it does look okay, I guess. Here's another one. Again, fingers are not the best. So it looks like this finger has split into 2. There's an extra lump here. It does look like he's plucking, but you can see the strings are really messed up here. Not straight at all. And then for this hand, we can't really see the fingers, but it looks like he has like 3 thumbs here. So yeah, there you go. That's Stable Diffusion. And here's a side-by-side comparison of all 3 image generators. Let me know which one you prefer. Alright, I really want to put this hand thing to the test because Google claims and they show that it can produce realistic hands, but so far we're not seeing that. So let's try another one. Let's try a couple walking down the street holding hands, and let's see if they can generate their hands properly. Again, I'll put like realistic photo and see if that makes it more realistic. Okay, let's see what we get. Alright, you can see their hands separately are okay, but at the center here, you can't really see the details. I guess from far away it looks okay. This one, oh, this is really bad. It doesn't even look like fingers at all. And then this one, this looks kind of okay, I guess. The details are kind of blurred out. Actually, no, scratch that. So you can see her arm should not be here. It's kind of like disconnected. Her arm should start from here, right? But somehow it jumped to over here. So that's already a flaw. And then you can see her face is messed up. The hand here, there's also something that shouldn't be there. And then let's look at this one. Oh, this looks really bad. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on here, but definitely not holding hands. Alright, let's try the same thing for DALL-E 3. Okay, let's see what we get. Alright, this looks okay. You can see this is where it starts to mess up, but again, I haven't seen a really good image generator that can do this. This is pretty good. If you zoom out, it's hard to notice. Let's look at this. Again, it's a lot better than Imagen, that's for sure. At least it looks like two hands trying to hold each other. Not perfect, but it is what it is. This one, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Why are they like in opposite direction? I have no idea what's going on here. Let's skip that one. And then, all right, this one looks pretty good. No obvious flaws here. I guess like here, the fingers kind of split into two, but again, from far away, this looks good. This does look like holding hands. So there you go. That's DALL-E 3. And then finally, I will paste in the same prompt for Stable Diffusion. Oh boy, this is where it gets really ugly. So she's got like two hands plus a lot of fingers that are kind of merged into this ball of flesh here. This is quite typical of Stable Diffusion. Even though this model called Epic Realism should be pretty good, it's not. So yeah, this is pretty horrible. Let's look at the second image. Again, it doesn't look like holding hands. It's just two hands kind of merged into this ball of flesh. And their faces are kind of messed up. So that's Stable Diffusion. Here are the three image generators side by side. You can decide which one looks best for you. Alright, next challenge, let's do a white Honda Civic. And why I'm doing this is because, again, traditionally, it's hard for these AI image generators to get car models correct. Usually it just makes up some generic car, but it doesn't really know what a Honda Civic is. So let's see if it can get this correct. I'm going to put realistic photo again, and then click generate. Okay, not bad. This definitely looks like a Honda Civic. It's not making any car up. This is basing it off of the actual Honda Civic model. Now, the only flaws that I can point out are, first of all, it doesn't have the H Honda logo. I guess it tries to copy it, but not really. This logo doesn't exist. This is not the Honda logo. And then the license plate is kind of messed up, but overall the car looks great. Same with this one. It's trying to make the H logo, but it's not really getting there, so you don't get the Honda logo. Same with these two. Like, the only part that's messed up is the Honda logo, but otherwise the car looks great. There are some flaws over here, but yeah, overall, if you look at these four images, it indeed looks like a white Honda Civic in the sunset. And then same thing for DALL-E. I'm gonna paste in the same prompt and then click generate. And wow, look at that. You can see the lighting is kind of surreal. It's not as realistic, but the Honda Civic looks very real. It knows what a Honda Civic is. Plus, it kind of got the H logo correct. The license plate still messed up, but that's a known flaw with image generators is it can't generate letters or words correctly. And then it looks like no one's driving this, which is a bit concerning. But moving on to the next image, again, great H logo, just the license plate is messed up. Other than that, plus no one's driving, it looks pretty good. Alright, this one, it didn't get the Honda logo correct, nor the license plate. Same flaws as before. This one, it nailed the H logo, messed up the license plate, no one's driving, but yeah, these are the four images generated by DALL-E 3. Finally, I will paste in the same prompt in Stable Diffusion, and let's see what we get. Alright, the colors are better. This is cut off. I think what the problem is it's not landscape or square, so let's make this square. Let's make this 1024 by 1024, and then we'll generate this again. Alright, you can see here's where Stable Diffusion messes up. This does not look like any Honda Civic model that I know of. It's just making a car up. And then this one looks slightly better. It does look like a Honda Civic, but the logo is messed up, the license plate is messed up, so definitely not as good as the other two image generator. I would say this one looks the most like a Honda Civic, but again, the logo, license plate are messed up. Here's a side-by-side comparison of all three image generators, so you can decide which one looks best to you. Alright, now since Google claims Imagen 2 is great with animals, as you can see here, let's also test out a generation of an animal. So I'm going to put group of capybaras foraging in a field, realistic photo. And let's see if it can generate that. Wow, this is really good. This looks super realistic. These definitely look like capybaras. I can't really point out anything wrong with this, so Google just nailed this one. Let's use the same prompt for DALL-E 3. Alright, here's where it looks less realistic and more like fantasy and cartoonish. It still got the shape of a capybara, right? These do look like capybaras, just not as realistic as Imagen. So again, I'm going to use the same prompt, this time in Stable Diffusion. Oh, this is funny. So these look nothing like capybaras. I don't even know what these look like. Like a mix between a bear and a horse and a capybara? Whoa. So not even close. Obviously, this model Epic Realism was not trained on capybaras, so these just look weird. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the three tools. And I would say, for this example, Google's Imagen nailed it. It looks like a realistic photo, and I couldn't point out any flaws with it. Alright, finally, let's see if it can generate an anime-style image. So I'm going to put a woman wearing a leather jacket, cyberpunk city at night, anime. Let's see if it can generate this accurately. So you can see this is not an anime style. If I click this drop down, let's see if there's anything. I mean, the anime is the closest one, but this is not anime. Let's try generating again and see if it would be any better. Alright, still not very good, and yeah, sometimes it generates 3 images instead of 4 for some reason, but it is what it is, and yeah, you can see this is definitely not anime style. Alright, well let's try the same prompt in DALLE3 now. Here's what we get for DALLE3. You can see it looks more anime. This does look like anime. This one, alright, kind of. It does look better than Imagen. I don't know why it gave me 2 here, so I'm gonna click create again. And then here's 2 more. Yeah, I would say not really anime style. This is more like just digital art style, but overall, not bad. And then finally, let's do Stable Diffusion. Now for Stable Diffusion, you don't define the anime style down here. That's not all that you need to do. You also need to change the checkpoint, because right now we're using Epic Realism, so it would only output realistic images. So to have your image in an anime style, we would need to use an anime checkpoint or models. So I'm going to use Cetus Mix. There are tons of other anime models you can choose from, but this one I find to be one of the most robust. So I'm going to go with Cetus Mix. So for Stable Diffusion, I need to add in a few more keywords to really define what exactly I want to output. So upper body, 8K, ultra detailed, masterpiece. These are keywords that you see commonly used in Stable Diffusion. Whereas for the other 2 image generators, DALLE3 and Imagen, you don't need to put in these keywords. It's just very simplistic. You just type in what you want in the image and then define the style, and that's all. For Stable Diffusion, you really need to add in these keywords to get a high quality image. So that's the difference between Stable Diffusion and the rest of these image generators. Alright, let's see what this is. Her hood, or whatever this is weird, but definitely anime style, right? Stable Diffusion is great for generating anime images. Here's another one. Her jacket's messed up, her fingers are messed up. So you could refine this further by saying, like, standing, arms are straight, no fingers, no hands, etc. But overall, this is indeed anime style. This is the most anime looking one out of the 3 image generators. Let's generate 2 more. I'll refine the prompt a bit more. So cyberpunk city, standing, arms straight down, and let's see if this works. Alright, so some more examples. Here's one, here's the other one. And here's a side-by-side comparison of the 3 image generators for an anime style image. So that basically sums up my testing and comparison of Imagen 2. You can see that a lot of these images seem cherry-picked, especially those with perfect hands and realistic looking images. It's really hard to get those correct with Imagen 2. It can't actually generate realistic looking hands and fingers most of the time. I would say where Imagen 2 excels at is generating animals. As you can see with the capybara image, it just nailed it. And animals are tricky to generate because a lot of these image generators like Stable Diffusion, they were not trained on all the species of animals on the planet. But it looks like Imagen 2 is great for that. But yeah, that sums up my review of Imagen 2. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. If you found this video helpful, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, we built a site where you can search for all the AI tools out there. Check it out at ai-search.io.